back to the news at 10. Hearing in the petition filed by the former governor of Kogi State, Idris Wada, challenging the election of Mr. Yahaya Bello as governor of the state has been stalled. Lawyers to Mr. Wada at the proceedings today had informed the tribunal of their intention to present some documents which include ballot papers and result sheets used for the election. This was opposed by lawyers representing the All Progressives Congress and the governor on the grounds that the documents needed to be scrutinized.
The courtroom of the Kogi Governorship Election Petition Tribunal in Abuja. The former governor of Kogi State, Mr. Idris Wada, was expected to testify at the tribunal, but this was not to be, as attempts by his lawyers to present some documents were opposed by the defendants.
In fact, we have over 8,000 documents that we want to tender. Some used for the election of 25th November 2015, and then some for the supplementary election, because we really need to use these documents to support our case. So what we have done in order to make the tendering easy is to do what we call scheduling. So we have brought a schedule, arranged a schedule of the documents to be tendered so that the tendering will be streamlined.
With the objections upheld by the chairman of the tribunal, the petitioners were given time to perfect the presentation of the said documents. Lawyers to the All Progressive Congress and Governor Yahaya Bello insisted that the documents were not properly presented before the tribunal.
The petitioners, that's the Captain Wada and the PDP, they were scheduled to start the calling of evidence today, but they ran into some difficulties in regards to how to get their documents ready for presentation. So we had to stand down in the morning for them to put their documents in order. But we came back this afternoon and the story was still the same.
Procedure for such tendering were not followed. And we insisted that proper procedure of doing things should be done. This is sui general. And we want to expedite the proceedings so that we can finish and then move forward. We have had 2 adjournments in respect of the same matter, and the same thing kept on reoccurring at every adjournment.
Hearing of the petition has now been fixed for the 11th of April.
The former Niger Delta militant government Ekemokolo, also known as Tompolo, is still on the run, and that's according to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The anti-corruption agency was today forced to separate him from a 40-count charge of alleged fraud and money laundering, which it filed at the Federal High Court in Lagos. The former Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Patrick Akwabolokemi, and 4 other persons were also listed in the charge of the co-accused. But efforts to arraign them had failed since January, owing to the refusal of Tompolo to honor the court summons issued on him. The EFCC prosecutor, Mr. Festus Keyamo, told the judge that the charge against the accused persons has been amended with Tompolo's name removed. He said Tompolo will be arraigned and tried separately from the others as soon as he was apprehended by the security agencies. And lawyers representing the Islamic movement in Nigeria at the Commission of Inquiry set up to investigate the clash between the group and the soldiers in Zaria have withdrawn their appearance. Addressing journalists today, a member of the legal team, Festus Okoye, says their inability to have access to their client and leader of the movement, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaki, led to the decision. He explains the frustration they've encountered in their effort to meet with El-Zakzaki, who is currently being detained by the DSS in Abuja.
In Zaria between the 12th and 14th day of December 2015 and the subsequent events in Kaduna, the members of the Islamic movement in Nigeria are of the firm view that their team of lawyers must see their leader and get instructions from him and get instructions and proper briefings from him before the period of the submission of memorandum elapses. The legal team has resolved that in the light of the realities of lack of access, briefing and representation for the movement, the most honorable thing to do is to withdraw completely from appearance before the commission in whatever form and manner, and to cease any form of representation in whatever form or manner for the movement.
Let's cross over to the world of business news now. Here's Adeshawa Josh.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Ijama. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Business News. The Monetary Committee of the Central Bank has raised the monetary policy rate to 12%, up from 11%. Addressing newsmen after the committee's meeting in Abuja, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, says cash reserve requirement is now pegged at 22% and liquidity ratio left unchanged at 30%. Mr. Emefiele says the key decisions are part of the Apex Bank's measures for achieving fiscal and financial stability in the country.
The committee urged the bank to continue to upscale its surveillance of the financial system with the aim of promptly detecting and managing vulnerabilities to ensure sustained stability. Finally, the committee remains committed to price stability across the range of consumer prices, exchange rate and interest rate, which is fundamental to reviving economic growth and employment generation. In the meantime, the bank would continue to leverage its development finance policy to support critical sectors of the Nigerian economy. The MPC also stressed the need to sustain, deepen, and speed up reforms designed to ensure focused coordination of monetary and fiscal policies. The committee's decision. The committee, in its assessment of relevant internal and external indices, came to the conclusion that the balance of risks is tilted against price stability. The MPC therefore voted to tighten the stance of monetary policy. One member voted to retain CRR at 20%, while another member voted to retain the current width of the asymmetric corridor.
CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele. Meanwhile, the Naira strengthened by 1% against the dollar on the parallel market today in reaction to the central bank's decision to raise key interest rates. 1 month dollar to Naira forwards were bid at 205 compared to a previous band of around 207. However, the official interbank rate remains unchanged at 197 to the greenback at the close of trading. Traders say they expect the local currency to sustain the upward trend for the rest of the week, as well as a hike in yields on fixed income assets. Investors also reacted to the CBN's decision to raise its headline interest rate to 12% as stocks rally for the second day at the Nigerian equities market. Bolaji Akinwale has the figures.
Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Investors traded 344.1 million units of shares at the value of 2.45 billion naira in 4,386 deals at the end of Tuesday's session. The all-share index sustained its positive trend with a 0.45% rise to 26,020.32, actually crossing the 26,000 psychological level. On the gainers table, UCAP led with 9.68%. It was followed by Nigerian Brewers with 5% and Unilever with 4.99%. On the flip side, oil stock Seplat topped with a 6.06% drop from its share price. NACO and Wema Bank lost 5% each. On the top trades chart, bank stocks led by Guaranty Trust Bank recorded the highest units of shares at 69.6 million. And that is on the Stock Market Report. I am Bolaji Akinwale.
Thanks a lot, Balaji. The two-day Africa CEO Forum hosted in the capital city of Abidjan has now come to an end. At the meeting, business leaders and policymakers agreed to explore the untapped opportunities of Africa with local financing. Channel's business correspondent Temple Lashaju reports.
Call is actually in tandem with realities of today's market. In fact, it also has to align with the totality of the new community of stakeholders.
The biggest thing now is what instruments, risk instruments, do we develop so we can tap the 380 billion in pension funds and couple that with regulatory reform? How do we, in the eyes of our own investors, make our countries less risky? What are the specific instruments?
The presidential panel is next, with President John Mahama of Ghana, as well as President Alassane Ouattara of Cote d'Ivoire, focusing on the prevention of terrorism.
It is a shame that it is happening at this time when we're doing everything to integrate our economies, make it easier for our people to move across our borders with goods and services, and then you have this kind of attack happening.
The CEO Forum is also organized with various roundtables. Thousands of top executives have attended the Africa CEO Forum. This appears to have helped a lot of investors, facilitated a lot of deals, and one that also seemed to have helped the organizers realize their intentions.
So a 75% rate of CEOs who have either identified business deal or concluded business deal during the forum. So I guess it's definitely not talk, but action.
African countries have to break down all the barriers that you see today. Africa's future doesn't lie on the outside. Africa's future lies on the inside.
We're supposed to put in 1.5 million tons of cement, but I am quite pleased, that I've informed the president that we're putting up 3 million tons.
African Company of the Year, Dangote Group.
Dangote Group for the African Company. The CEO of the Year award is Oba Otudeko, my good friend. Congratulations. Et les accolades de Mr. J. Ireland qui récompense.
The two-day Africa CEO Forum has now come to an end. The zeal to place the continent on the global map has been recharged here, and a lot is now expected from policymakers and CEOs that attended this conference to help realize the recommendations given at the forum. From the venue of the 2016 Africa CEO Forum in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, it's Temple Ashaju reporting for Channels Television News.
And we end business news tonight with a look at closing figures from other markets around the world. The news at 10 continues in a moment. I am Adeshewa Josh.
You first. First Bank.
Today is World Water Day, and the importance of this essential resource comes into focus as the management of nutrition company Nestle Waters enlightens students and teachers on the water cycle, global water challenges and preservation. With the theme Water for Jobs, Nestle Waters aims to raise awareness and deepen collaboration for development.
Water is a basic necessity, not just for quenching thirst, but also vital for human development. Given the global challenges, Nestle Waters is calling for collaboration among stakeholders towards sustainable solutions as they mark this year's World Water Day at the company's premises in Ogun State.
Water is a precious resource that is shared amongst many stakeholders, individuals, farmers, industry, environment and others. Nestle Waters is committed to being a good steward of the water resource it shares. Nestle Waters ensures its operations are efficient and proactively collaborates with other initiatives that preserve water resource over the long term. Nestle Waters has improved its water efficiency globally by 19% over the last 5 years. As a leading nutrition, health and wellness company in Nigeria, Nestle over the years has developed outstanding expertise in water management.
Part of today's activities is enlightening students and teachers in public primary and secondary schools on the importance of fresh water for nature, healthy hydration and prevention of diseases.
It's a very good program because it makes us realize that water is very important in human life. And then when we look at the process of production of this water, we see that this water is a very good product for us to take.
According to the management of Nestle Waters, the drive for effective collaboration is to effectively protect this natural resource.
Today, you will find that we do not have a lot of fresh water available. And so the need for us to really preserve the little one that is available. So things like, putting off the tap, not just wasting water when you don't need to, is very important. And that's why through our project, Water Education for Teachers and Children, we teach these young ones to learn from, a very early age to, imbibe this habit of water conservation and discipline.
The nutrition company says its target this year for the water education is to reach 8,000 students, as against its record of 5,994 last year from schools in Lagos and Ogun states.
The first set of graduate trainees from Dangote Group have left for India. The trainees, who will be spending the next 1 year out of the country, are expected to visit refineries in India and be trained in competences that will enable them work at the Dangote refinery back home in Nigeria. The 650,000 barrel per day capacity Dangote refinery is expected to solve petroleum supply issues in Nigeria when completed in 2017.
These young Nigerians represent the ambition and driving desire of Africa's richest man to solve the fuel supply puzzle by building a refinery in Nigeria.
For us to be able to ensure that the plant is not only well constructed, but effectively and efficiently operated going forward, we need our staff who will be running those refineries to be involved up initial from the beginning, from the design stage, so that they know what each and every machinery is supposed to do and how it is supposed to do it. So the intention is that they will go and participate in the design process. So they'll know what is happening. They will know what is under the ground and what is above the ground. And what we will do while they are there is to ensure that we send them to refineries in India that are currently in operation, especially refineries that are similar to our own, so that they can also participate in the maintenance, they can participate in the operation, they can participate in the overall running of the refinery.
They constitute the first batch of people that will be traveling to India for training on refinery building. Drawn from a pool of qualified Nigerians in various disciplines, they will be away for a whole year, visiting refineries, learning and developing skills for the Dangote refinery, which is currently being constructed.
To come back as experienced engineers so that we can each handle roles being designated to us in the refinery, yes, without problems and without fear.
The training program is a 1 year program, and it's going to be a rigorous program. It has been designed to equip young graduates so that they'll be able to perform to the optimal level in refinery operation.
So if you thought the Dangote refinery story is a fairy tale, then you need to think differently. Because judging by the work rate, the 2017 deadline, plus this capacity training, the 650,000 barrels per day production capacity refinery will soon be a reality. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Super Eagles hold first training session in Kaduna as the team prepares for the double-header against Egypt. And that will be on sports. Please stay with us.